Okay, so it opens with this 10-minute scene of these Wookiees. It's Chewbacca's family. They're in the house. They're just having this conversation and interaction. It lasts for like 10 minutes. They're just growling at each other. No subtitles. I don't understand why this is necessary. I don't understand.
Bruce Dwayne.
Hello everyone, this is Bruce Dwayne and welcome to a little break from Minecraft. I'm here to give you an emergency, very important video. So, last night, Daniel and another friend of ours watched Star Wars The Holiday Special. The reason that this is very important is because more people need to know about this. I knew that this existed, but I had never seen it, and oh my word, everyone needs to watch this. Every Star Wars fan needs to watch this holiday special. Now, this whole thing is on YouTube. Apparently, not even Disney is brave enough to admit that this exists, that they even will take this down off of YouTube. The whole thing is right there. And honestly, it was the most surreal experience of my entire life. Honestly, I'm still not entirely convinced that it happened. So before we get started, I just want to say, if you care about spoilers, I'm going to talk about spoilers. Although if you watch this, you should watch it for making fun of it and laughing at it, not the plot, the minimally existing plot. But spoiler alert, nonetheless. So it takes place between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. Contrary to my previous conception of this work, it's actually a full-length movie. Like, it's an hour and 37 minutes. I had kind of just the idea that it was like a short TV program. It is very much made for TV, but it is a full-length movie. Another thing about this that is contrary to my previous conception of it was I don't think it is impossible that this could be canon. I'm not saying it should be by any stretch of the imagination, and I don't know if it is, but nothing happens in it that could not possibly happen in the Star Wars universe. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. The movie is super low budget, like inconceivably low budget, but somehow this movie is starring Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker, Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia, and Harrison Ford as Han Solo. And I think the same guy plays Chewbacca. I think the same guy plays C-3PO. Darth Vader is in it, although I'm pretty sure it's just a clip from episode 4. There's a lot of clips in this Star Wars special I'm pretty sure are borrowed from A New Hope, which just goes to show how low budget it is. It's strange too because it didn't feel overly Christmassy to me. It's about a holiday that the Wookiees celebrate called Life Day, which is kind of the equivalent of Christmas, I guess. But throughout, it didn't really feel like a Christmas movie. My biggest takeaways from watching this were, first of all, every scene is too long. You could trim the whole thing down to be like 45 minutes. I mean, everything just takes too long. Literally, I feel like every scene we watched could have, like, it just went on and went on. And it's like, this is terrible. This needs to stop. This needs to end. And it just keeps going on. It needs to be edited down. It's a bit of a variety show where there's like a main plot going on, but then throughout there are just little clips thrown in of like people singing or dancing, or there's even a cartoon at one point. So I will say one good thing about this movie is that the plot itself, ignoring the talent bits, the plot itself was lore friendly enough. The little song and dance bits didn't feel overly lore friendly, but still, I don't think that it would be impossible to make this canon. Not a lot happens that is like vital to the Star Wars universe. Once again, I don't know if it's canon. It's scary to think that it might be. And the last takeaway that I got from this was it just gets worse as it goes on. Like, you come to the opening scene if you even make it that far, and it's bad. It's so weird, but it just gets worse as it goes on. You continue to be surprised at how terrible and weird it is. I have never seen anything like it in my life. All right, I'm gonna go through this real quick here and just talk about some specific parts. So it starts with this opening scene here where Han and Chewie are trying to get back to his home planet, Chewie's home planet, to get to this family, which he has a family, by the way, to celebrate Life Day. What is up with this Millennium Falcon set here? This is obviously borrowed footage outside of it, but inside of it, like, how is this bad? This is a Star Wars movie. Okay, so it opens with this 10-minute scene of these Wookiees. It's Chewbacca's family. They're in the house. They're just having this conversation and interaction. It lasts for like 10 minutes. They're just growling at each other. No subtitles. I don't understand why this is necessary. I don't understand. By the way, this is Chewbacca's son. That's his dad. And that's Chewbacca's wife. Then we've got this little drug trip here, which is just like this dance sequence. that lasts for way too long to be comfortable, although it is definitely not the worst offender for sequences lasting too long in this movie. Drugs, I'm telling you. I am really enjoying all 2 pixels of this. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention. The 3 Wookiees' names are Mala, Lumpy, and Itchy. Which I get that Chewbacca's name, they call him Chewie. Well, that's his nickname. It's short for Chewbacca. Why would you name people Lumpy and Itchy? That's not, those aren't even words that they could be based. I don't know. Maybe there are names I just don't know about.
Where's Chewbacca?
Why does Luke Skywalker look so weird? Looks like Lady Gaga or something. There's way too much makeup. Oh my word. None of this has subtitles!
Oh, wait a minute. I don't like the looks of this.
That engine isn't smoky as much as the cast. Got him! I can't believe Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford did this. I cannot believe it. And this scene, it lasts way too long. Like, who cares? Okay, here's the scene that's clearly just taken from episode 4 or something. I think that's all the Darth Vader's in it, too. Oh, this scene. Oh, I forgot.
Preparing a very succulent dish called Bantha Surprise.
So Chewbacca's wife is watching this cooking show.
Because precision is very important in this recipe, and we do want to have a fine consistency, don't we?
And this goes on for like 10 minutes. I'm not joking. Stirring and whipping here. Okay. Then comes in Princess Leia and C-3PO. Now, it's pretty obvious that everyone that was working on this film was under the influence of some sort of substance. But Carrie Fisher is the most obvious exhibit of this.
I don't want to type the channels. So could you do me a favor and send either Chewbacca or Han Solo to the screen, please?
Ah, yes. And then this bit. Where this very, like, late 70s, early 80s band just performs. Why is this in the Star Wars holiday special? It's not about Christmas, it's not about Star Wars. Why is this here? Why does this exist? Then Lumpy sits down and watches this cartoon. And when I realized that this was a cartoon, I was like, okay, finally, something that probably other people worked on and is not going to be as horrible. But still somehow is horrible. Oh, also, Boba Fett is a very, very iconic Star Wars character. However, he was not in episode 4, therefore, this is his first appearance in any Star Wars film. His name also is never mentioned in episode 5 or 6, but it is mentioned in this.
Maybe I can help you. I am Boba Fett. The ship you seek is near.
His name, Boba Fett, comes from this movie. Also, his character design, his armor that has become so iconic as the Mandalorian armor. His weapon, by the way, that is an iconic Mandalorian weapon that is in the show The Mandalorian. It came from this movie. That's where it started. I have so many questions.
All right.
I'm not sure.
Oh, that's Han Solo. Why does his face look like that?
What happened?
I don't know.
Well, somebody must.
Oh, why? So it turns out that Boba Fett is like Darth Vader's favorite bounty hunter, which I guess is why he's in episode 5. Anyways, how is Boba Fett's backstory in this movie? You didn't ask for it. You didn't want it, but you had to see what a baby Chewbacca wearing headphones looks like. I can't tell if this is product placement or just
brand of mini transmitter.
an absolute acid trip.
Now, this is the first thing you'll need. Please be careful not to hurt yourself on the sharp edges. Ow.
Woohoo! All right, that's enough of that. Then comes this sequence that lasts for like 20 minutes in the Mos Eisley Cantina, and they just, I don't understand why it's here, why it exists.
You stay just as long as you want.
Cursed images. Anyways, the Empire establishes a curfew. Everyone has to go home. Then we get this lovely scene.
Friend, if there's a light in the place, we may not thrive, friend.
All right, I can't watch that again. By the way, the sounds that these Wookiees are making, they don't sound like Wookiee sounds. I realize this is the only second Star Wars movie ever made, but other Wookiees sound basically like Chewbacca. These Wookiees are like, ah, ah, ah. That's not what Wookiees sound like. Then they summon the Almighty One and become enlightened. I don't know what's happening here. And just when you thought it couldn't be any weirder, Harrison Ford is just dead inside. Anyways, that's the movie. Okay, so in watching a movie and determining how enjoyable it is, there's a basic chart. All right, this axis right here is how enjoyable it is. This axis right here is how good it is. So the higher up you are on the graph, the more enjoyable it is. The farther this way it is, the worse the movie is. Now, the graph itself goes something like this. When a movie is really good, you obviously enjoy it. I know everyone doesn't like the Marvel movies, but let's just say like Avengers, for example. A really good movie, it's really enjoyable. Then you go all the way down to the bottom of the pit. This is where it's least enjoyable. This would be something like The Last Jedi. Got him! Then when you start to come back up here, the movie is so bad that it becomes good again because you're laughing at how bad it is. Something at the top here maybe would be like Sharknado. So bad that it becomes good. And I'm not saying that Sharknado is as good as Avengers. This is not to scale. And this is not at all an original thought, by the way. Lots of people have said this. What is this movie, though, you may ask? This movie is so eccentric that I am inventing a new section of this graph, to which the point that once it becomes so bad that it's good again, it then can become even worse and become terrible again. Now, somewhere in here, depending on your sense of humor, is where the Star Wars Holiday Special is. I'm going to give it the benefit of me liking things that are really weird and put it like right here. Not many movies make it to this part of the chart, but there are a few, and this is one of them. So what I want to talk about now is, how does a Star Wars movie be this bad? How is it possible? So how this happened, I have a couple theories. First of all, this is brand new. Only one Star Wars movie had been made before this. Star Wars now is kind of like a sacred fandom, where very few people actually get to write canon Star Wars things. This was right after the first movie had been released. People didn't, I guess, really know what a Star Wars movie was, so they kind of came up with their own interpretation that wasn't very, I guess, what we would now call lore friendly. Also, George Lucas was not involved with this movie. I don't think he's in the credits. I could be wrong about that. I'm not gonna watch the credits. But even so, even if this wasn't a Star Wars movie, how does a movie this bad exist? Someone has to write this entire thing. Someone has to direct this entire thing. When it goes into editing, someone has to edit the entire thing. Then, 2 times during the editing process, the director and producer have to sign off on it. How does this exist? There's only one explanation, and that is drugs. There is no explanation. This movie is on drugs, exponentially more so the farther it goes on. The actors were on drugs. The director was on drugs. The producer was on drugs. The writer was on drugs. I don't know about the DP, but considering everyone else was, the editor was either on drugs or very sad. And whoever from CBS decided that, yes, this was gonna go on the air. Even if George Lucas wasn't involved in making this, he at least approved the idea. This is his universe. How did this happen? So much drugs. What is going on? So Daniel had this theory a while back that we are living in an alternate dimension, an alternate timeline. And this theory came about after, Trump had become president and Elon Musk was hosting Meme Review, and things were happening that shouldn't be happening. And he just told me one day, he's like, I think we're living in an alternate timeline. And I was just kind of like, that's funny. But after watching this movie, the fact that this exists, I agree. We are living in an alternate dimension. This is not the course of the world that is supposed to be happening. We are living in an alternate timeline, ladies and gentlemen. Honestly, if it came out that this is the only Star Wars movie Rian Johnson had seen before making The Last Jedi, that would explain a lot. I'm just saying. So would I recommend watching this? If I have not already steered you away, and if you want to watch this just for entertainment to laugh at something that's just really bad, then grab a friend who's a Star Wars fan, expect the worst, and sit down and watch this 90-minute drug trip. And you might enjoy it. I actually enjoy it so much that I bought it. I bought the 40th anniversary edition, which exists. They remastered it to full HD, and it is on Blu-ray. But should you watch it for a good movie? Have you been listening to anything I've said? No! No! Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video that's not anything like any other video I've done. I just had to make this. I had to say some things. Anyways, if you enjoyed this, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos, although there probably won't be like this one. Check out my social medias in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Peace!